Hi, I'm Jake Bennett, philosophy major, broke college junior, and apparently according to my sister Mia the only hope she has of conquering her campus crush. It all started with a phone call that blasted through my headphones like a missile. Jake, I'm furious. That snake Rachel Lynn showed up again and ruined my date with Zach Carter. Mia's voice cracked with rage. I blinked at my laptop screen, the faint light of my desktop highlighting the half-written paper I was ignoring. Wait, who's Rachel Lynn? I muttered, rubbing my temples. The girl who's always 2 steps ahead of me. A classic manipulative green tea BTCH. She's sweet to everyone, always smiling, always accidentally showing up wherever Zach is. I can't even get 5 minutes alone with him. She was almost shrieking now. She sat with us at the Lakeview restaurant, Jake. That place is 30 minutes from campus and she found us there. I sighed, leaning back in my chair as the weight of her drama threatened to drag me into another ridiculous scheme. Mia, maybe you should just give up on Zach. I mean, she's kind of out of your league. My words slipped out before I could catch them. Silence. Then, tears. Even you think I can't win against her, Mia sobbed, crumpling like a soda can under pressure. Guilt stabbed me in the chest. No, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry, okay, what do you want me to do? Her sobs cut off instantly, like a faucet turned off. Perfect. I need you to keep Rachel Lynn distracted. For a month. Just keep her away from Zach. Make her think you're into her or something. I froze. What? No. That's insane. You want that meteorite, right? She snapped. My mouth went dry. Damn her. She knew I'd been eyeing that NWA 7034 specimen, the rare Martian meteorite, listed by a private collector for $1.5 million. You're broke. I'll give you the money. Just flirt with her, send her sweet texts, keep her occupied. You're good with words. Pretend to be her admirer or whatever. Just don't actually fall for her. She's not worth it. The absurdity of the plan made me want to laugh. She likes sweet things, Mia added. She's a foodie. Loves desserts. Got it, I said dryly. She likes licking. Jake. Mia shrieked. Do it or I'll tell Mom what you did to the toaster. That settled it. The next thing I knew, she'd sent me Rachel Lynn's WeChat. But to my surprise, when I tapped the contact, it didn't say, add friend. We were already connected. I scrolled through the history and found it an old message. Hi, I'm Rachel Lynn, smiley face, dated 6 months ago. That was during the campus arts festival when I'd performed on stage with my Eru. I'd added tons of people afterward. She'd sent a follow-up too. Hi, I'm Rachel Lynn, again. It felt weird reading it now, knowing she had once reached out first. Half a year later, I finally typed a reply, hi, my goddess. And closed the app. Next morning, her replies stunned me. At midnight. Wrong person, at 12:30. Lost a dare. Are you Jake Bennett? Then, at 5 a.m., it's okay. I can wait for your reply. That line sat like a stone in my chest. What was this softness? This vulnerability? Was it genuine? Shaking off the discomfort, I got into character. Senior, I typed, it's me. I've liked you for a long time. I just found out we were already friends on WeChat. I hope it's not too presumptuous, but I really admire you. I heard you studied language logic and comparative lit. I was thinking of enrolling, maybe I could borrow your notes sometime. The perfect excuse to start a conversation. I added more, even though we're from different departments, I'd love to learn from you. You're inspiring. Just as I was about to add something else, a new message pinged. Okay. Come on down. I'm outside your dorm. My stomach dropped. What? I rushed downstairs, sneakers untied, hoodie half-zipped. There she was, under the shade of a campus oak, framed by morning sun like a scene out of a teen drama. Rachel Lynn. Her long hair cascaded over her shoulder, and her expression was unreadable as she stepped forward and said calmly, "My roommates are jogging nearby. I was bringing them water and saw your message. Thought I'd stop by." I mumbled something about it not being urgent, just as I spotted my sister sneaking toward the men's dorm with a floral bag. Crap. She was bringing breakfast to Zach again. In panic, I grabbed Rachel's wrist. "Wait. Actually, it's urgent. Let's talk while we eat." Her eyes lingered on my hand for a second before she said softly, "Okay." We ended up circling around to the other cafeteria. I bought her pancakes and coffee, all while trying not to glance over my shoulder for Mia. As we sat, I tried to hide my awkwardness by asking questions about her classes, even volunteering to deliver water for her roommates. "Come to the men's dorm less," I said, attempting to sound casual. "My sister might be around. It's not safe. I'll deliver breakfast for you instead." Rachel tilted her head and murmured, "Jake, you don't have to do this." I blinked. "Do what?" Her gaze was steady. "If you have something to say, just say it." Panic flickered. Did she know? Was she on to the plan? I coughed, deflecting. "What if I said I was pursuing you? Shouldn't I be a little sneaky?" Her ears turned red. She looked away. "You don't have to pursue me," she muttered. What was that? Nothing. But I caught it. The words hung in the air like the scent of fresh rain, barely there, but impossible to ignore. From that day on, I doubled down. Reserved her seats in the library. Ordered rides for her late-night outings. Delivered breakfast every morning, rain or shine. Rachel's roommates teased her, constantly calling me "puppy boy," pointing at me like I was her bodyguard. Strangely, I didn't mind. Our conversations veered from literary theory to astronomy to existentialist philosophy. She read Camus, I read Whitman. She told me she loved Saturn's rings, I told her she was my favorite celestial body. I meant it. One morning, I waited under her dorm again, even though I knew she wasn't in. The skies opened. A drizzle turned into steady rain, but I didn't move. I stood there, hood up, soaked and half shivering. Later that day, Mia called, screeching. "Jake! Someone said a sucker stood in the rain for Rachel Lynn this morning. Was that you? Please tell me it wasn't you." I didn't answer. I was still staring at my phone, scrolling through the messages Rachel had sent at dawn. "Jake," she'd written, "don't bring me breakfast anymore." Then she handed me a specimen box. Inside the Martian meteorite I'd dreamed of. "I know you wanted this," she whispered. "I got it for you." I was stunned. "Why?" She looked down. "You came to me for this, right?" I shook my head, the lie catching in my throat. "No. I didn't," she smiled faintly. "But I still wanted to give it to you." I stared at the black fragment in my hand and thought, this was never part of the plan. But Rachel Lynn? She might have just rewritten my script. The morning after Rachel handed me that meteorite, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the box resting quietly on my desk like a symbol of something much bigger than cosmic debris. Her words, "You came to me for this, right?" kept looping in my head, but the way she smiled when she said it, like she already knew I'd lie, like she wasn't mad about it, that haunted me more. I thought I was the one playing her, pretending affection for a favor, but when she slipped that gift into my hands, I realized maybe she had known about the game all along and simply decided to play it better. I barely heard my alarm. But my feet moved on their own. I picked up a new thermos, tucked in a packet of her favorite cranberry waffles from the bakery she liked, and headed toward the girls' dorm again. Not because Mia told me to. Not because I needed anything. Just because I wanted to see her face when she opened the lid. But when I got there, a strange tension blanketed the area. Whispers. Side eyes. A girl brushing past muttered, "That's the sucker, right?" I turned, confused, until I heard another voice from behind a bush near the entrance. He waited in the rain. She didn't even come down. That's rough. My mouth went dry. I hadn't been there for more than 2 minutes yesterday, but somehow, the story had mutated into something pathetic. And I was the punchline. Before I could say or do anything, Rachel appeared, hurrying down the path, her bangs slightly tousled, holding her phone like a shield. She stopped in front of me, glanced at the thermos, then back at me, and said softly, "Jake, please stop bringing me breakfast." Her tone wasn't cold, it was tired. Resigned. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out a small envelope, not the kind people give as gifts, but one of those sterile, blank ones that look too formal to be sentimental. "You're not doing this because you want to, right?" she asked, her eyes searching mine like she was trying to confirm her own heartbreak. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The silence made my breath shaky. She handed me the envelope, her fingers brushing mine so briefly it almost didn't happen. "Here's the recipe my aunt used. You don't have to keep doing this. I'll come to you instead, next time." And then she was gone. Just like that. I stood there with the thermos in one hand and the envelope in the other, feeling like I'd been dismissed by a dream. I walked back to my dorm in a daze. When I opened the envelope, there was no recipe. Just a note. "It's not about the breakfast." My heart stumbled. I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know if I was overthinking. But what I did know was that Rachel Lynn had just pulled the rug out from under me, and I wanted to know why. That afternoon, Mia called again, already on edge. "Jake. Are you still talking to her? I need you to find out if she has any plans this weekend. Zach asked me out again, and I swear to God if she shows up like the ghost of third wheeling past, I will jump into the lake and drown myself in front of everyone." I rubbed my forehead, still distracted. "What's the restaurant?" "Lakeview." Again. "Private room." "She won't know. Just ask her." Subtly. "Don't mess this up." After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at Rachel's contact name for a full minute before texting, "Hey. Got any plans this weekend?" She didn't reply immediately. I went to class, tried to focus, failed miserably. By the time evening came around, her reply popped up like a slap. "Class dinner." "Why? Where?" I typed back. She answered, "Lakeview." My jaw clenched. No. This was the 5th time she'd shown up in the exact place Mia was trying to have a romantic moment. It couldn't be a coincidence. It just couldn't. But even as that thought grew sharper in my head, another part of meth part that remembered her handing me that meteorite like it was a piece of her heart started whispering something different. Maybe it wasn't Zach she was showing up for. Maybe it was someone else. The silence between messages stretched long enough for doubt to fester. Then came another ping, "Are you coming?" My chest tightened. "To your class party?" "Yeah. It's not formal. Just friends. I'd feel better if you were there. I don't like those kinds of events. It's easy to get pushed around. People force you to drink. If you're there, maybe you can, I don't know. Watch out for me." Something shifted. Her request wasn't flirty. It was vulnerable. I leaned back in my chair, stared at the words. "You can manage me," she added. And suddenly, I wasn't just a decoy anymore. I was her chosen guard. Her person. I bit my lip and typed, "Why Lakeview though?" "The class voted," she said. I didn't even join the poll. I hesitated. "You said last time I didn't come." "What do you mean?" Her answer came slowly. "Double Ninth Festival. Mia said she was spending it with you. But I didn't see you." I waited anyway. My fingers hovered over the screen. Waited? I felt the blood drain from my face. "You waited for me?" "Yes. I wanted to see you." I sat in stunned silence. All this time, Mia had told people she was going out with me as a cover. She even told her dorm friends about it. But Rachel must have overheard. And she believed it. I texted Mia, seething. "Did you tell people you were spending the festival with me last month?" She replied instantly. Of course. Had to throw her off, right? So Rachel believed that? Guess so. She was always lingering around. Maybe she thought you were the one seeing her rival. My heart twisted painfully. She wasn't going after Zach, I muttered. She was trying to reach me. That night, I lay in bed again, the lights off, replaying every interaction with her. Every time she smiled, hesitated, looked at me like she was trying not to give too much away. I hadn't been clever. I'd been clueless. And she'd been waiting. For me. The next morning, I didn't go to the girls' dorm. Instead, I waited. And like gravity, she came to me. Her hands clutched a steaming thermos, her hair in a lazy bun, wearing a blue hoodie that looked just a size too big. "I made this," she said. My aunt helped. I accepted it without a word. The warmth of the container bled into my fingers and up my chest. She looked at me shyly. "Heat it up if it's cold. Don't skip breakfast." I stared at her and wanted to say something. Anything. But all that came out was a soft chuckle. "Thank you, Senior, for feeding me." She bit her lower lip, trying to suppress a smile, and replied with an emoji. That was the moment I knew. She wasn't someone I could treat like a mission. She wasn't just Mia's love rival. Rachel Lynn was someone who could rewrite your script while making you believe it was your idea all along. And if I didn't make a move soon, I might lose her for real. Saturday evening draped itself over the campus like a velvet curtain, soft and deceptive, hiding the undertow of anxiety that pulled at my ribs as I stood in front of the mirror adjusting my collar for the third time. My reflection stared back blankly, just Jake Bennett, a guy who used to think playing the hero on stage was the bravest thing he'd ever done, now preparing to crash a dinner party for a girl who once handed him a meteorite and looked at him like she'd been orbiting his gravity all along. Rachel had messaged earlier, asking if I'd be on time. I told her I'd pick her up. She didn't object. Didn't pretend to play it cool either. Just replied, "See you soon," smiley face. I left my dorm just before 7, the sky already bleeding into night, gold fading into indigo. The city lights hummed to life as I pulled up in the car I borrowed from a friend who owed me one. When Rachel stepped out of her dorm, I almost forgot how to breathe. She wore a slim off-shoulder dress in slate blue, with a mesh belt that cinched perfectly at her waist. Her hair was loosely curled, cascading like waves over her shoulders, and her eyes looked like dust caught in a storm, unreadable but undeniably magnetic. I didn't speak. I didn't have to. She smiled faintly and teased, "You're staring." "I can't help it," I muttered. "Are you hot?" she asked. "What?" I blinked. "No, I mean, yeah, wait, no. I'm fine." She tilted her head, her smile widening. "Then why are you blushing?" We arrived at Lakeview Restaurant a few minutes later. The place glowed like a palace, all glass and warm yellow lighting, with manicured trees and lanterns lining the stone path. Rachel led the way to a private room where her classmates were already laughing over appetizers and teasing one another like a close-knit sitcom cast. Someone spotted me and said, "Is that the Aero guy from the Arts Fest?" Another chimed in, "Didn't he play Don't Let Love Wither?" "You were amazing." I smiled awkwardly, hands shoved into my pockets. Rachel moved without a word and casually took the seat between me and the girl who had just spoken, like a silent claim that needed no announcement. "You knew me then?" I whispered as the group's attention shifted back to their food. She glanced at me and murmured, "Not surprising, is it?" Before I could process what she meant, one of her roommates leaned over and chuckled. "Some people act all mysterious in public, but behind the scenes, stop it," Rachel said under her breath, but her cheeks colored. The laughter was good-natured, but I could feel something fragile under the surface, like a thread stretched too tight. Then, as we settled into small talk, something shifted. A guy across the room, someone with sharp cheekbones and eyes that looked like they'd memorized their own reflection too often, locked eyes with me. He stood up, ambled over, and said with a casual edge, "Are you Rachel's boyfriend?" The room dimmed for a split second. I looked at him evenly. No, his lips curled in satisfaction. Thought so. The arrogance in his tone crawled under my skin like smoke. But I didn't rise to it. I just smiled and turned my focus back to the table. Moments later, someone began pouring drinks. A glass slid toward Rachel's spot, and instinctively, I reached out. "She doesn't drink," I said. "I'll take it for her." The same guy scoffed. "Who the hell are you to speak for her?" I didn't flinch. I turned to the door. "Rachel, do you want to drink?" She returned from placing desserts on the side table, blinked, and said firmly, "I don't." Then she sat beside me and added, quieter but sharper, "He's the only one who gets to control me." The room reacted with teasing and whistles, but I felt the air change. It was small, but it mattered. Later, after a few more awkward exchanges, I excused myself to the bathroom. When I stepped out, I found her leaning against the hallway wall, arms crossed, gaze distant. "I thought you left," she murmured. "Didn't think you cared." Her words stung, not because they were unfair, but because they hid a truth I'd buried. "I do care," I said. "That's the problem." She looked at me for a long time, then asked quietly, "Want to go for a walk?" I didn't hesitate. The back of Lakeview opened into a path by a man-made lake, where lanterns floated lazily on the water's surface, swaying like dreams half remembered. We walked in silence at first, the air crisp with the first signs of fall. Then she spoke. "Do you remember the music that night during the festival? The outdoor band on the lawn?" "Barely. I was inside most of the time. I heard it. Thought you'd come. Waited." I slowed down, breath caught between surprise and guilt. "I didn't know." She smiled sadly. "I think I knew that. But I hoped anyway." "So you sat with my sister and Zach hoping I'd show?" She looked away. "I didn't want to miss a chance to see you." I stared at the lake, at the tiny ripples that scattered starlight. Her words weren't desperate. They were calm. Honest. Even beautiful in their quiet devastation. "My sister thinks you were trying to steal Zach from her," I said after a beat. "She's wrong." Rachel paused, then said, "I never even noticed Zach until I had to notice him. Until I thought he might be close to you. That did something to me. It unlocked every breadcrumb I hadn't followed. Every time she appeared, every glance I dismissed, every carefully chosen moment." "You were chasing me," I whispered, stunned by my own slow realization. She nodded. "I was. I still am." I laughed, breathless. "God. I thought I was the one doing the chasing." "Maybe you were. But I laid the path." The wind rustled her hair and she tucked it behind her ear with a small smile, eyes shining with something that didn't need to be named anymore. "Jake," she said, "I like you. I've liked you since the first time I saw you play the arrow. I liked how serious you looked, how lost in your world you were. It made me want to be part of it." I turned to face her fully, hands in my jacket pockets to steady their tremble. "And now? Now I want to know if you'll let me in." My voice was raw. "You already are." Her hand brushed mine. "Then can we have breakfast together tomorrow?" I smiled. "Only if you're my girlfriend. I don't eat alone with just anyone." She leaned closer, eyes warm and mischievous. "Then I guess I have no choice but to say yes." And just like that, the air between us shifted. No longer uncertain, no longer caught in games of mistaken identity. Just two people under the trees, by a lake, telling truths in whispers. I didn't kiss her. Not yet. But I felt something even deeper than theta gravity pulling us into orbit, slow and certain and unstoppable. The next morning, the sun broke through my blinds with the kind of insistence that made sleep feel like a personal offense. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, the memory of Rachel's voice from the night before still laced in my ears. Then I guess I have no choice but to say yes. It didn't feel real. It felt like a line from one of the romance novels she liked to mock but secretly adored. And yet, here I was, officially dating the girl who had once seemed as distant as the stars she loved. Before I could spiral too far into disbelief, there was a knock at the door. Our dorm supervisor, an older woman who always smelled like green tea and disapproval, handed me a small package. From a girl. Breakfast, probably. Be grateful someone feeds you. I muttered a thank you and closed the door. Inside the thermos were neatly packed breakfast pastries, a fruit cup, and a handwritten note taped to the lid. Eat first. Smile later. RL. I sat on my bed, smiling like a complete fool, chewing through the flakiest croissant I'd ever had, when my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Rachel. It was Mia. Jake. What is this post? The words were in all caps, and she'd attached a link. I tapped it. A school forum thread opened with the title, Campus Belle's Bootlicker Exposed at Class Dinner. My stomach dropped. The post described everything: how I poured drinks for Rachel, blocked others from approaching her, how I used to bring her breakfast every day. There was even a blurry photo of me leaning toward her, hand shielding her glass. The angle made it look more desperate than protective. The comments underneath were a battlefield. Some mocked. Others speculated. And then one hit like a grenade: he's not even her boyfriend. I know, because she turned down at least 3 guys last semester. She doesn't like anyone. I wasn't even angry. I was just empty. And then something happened that changed everything. Amid the thread, a verified comment appeared: Rachel Lynn. Her profile. Her voice. Please don't slander my boyfriend. He is not a bootlicker. If anyone should be accused of licking anyone, let it be me. I like him. He is mine. If you continue spreading defamation, I'll be pursuing this through the school and legal channels. Delete the post. Apologize. The comment detonated in the thread like thunder in a library. Reactions exploded, comments split between awe, disbelief, and frantic backtracking. I just sat there, stunned, Rachel's thermos in my hand. She didn't have to defend me. She didn't even ask me if I was okay. She acted. Fierce. Protective. Public. It felt like I had gravity again, like someone had willingly stepped into my orbit and claimed it as home. But before I could text her, Mia's call came in. Jake Bennett, she said, her voice trembling with a rage that only a betrayed sibling could wield, you were the one who stood in the rain for her. You. Mia, calm down, don't tell me to calm down. I thought you were just faking it. You were supposed to distract her, not fall for her. And now she's calling you her boyfriend? I exhaled slowly, trying to keep my tone even. You told me to lick her. I said sweet. Sweet. Not submissive. Honestly, Mia, this isn't about you anymore. Not about me. Jake, she was trying to steal Zach from me. She wasn't. That shut her up. I heard her breathing hard. Then she asked, then why did she show up to all our dates? I paused. Because you kept telling people you were going out with me. She overheard. She thought she was competing with me. Not Zach. There was a long silence. Then, very softly, Mia whispered, so she likes you? Yeah, I said. She does. And I like her too. The next sound was Mia's scream of existential betrayal, followed by something crashing in the background. I didn't even ask. I hung up and blocked her for the next 24 hours, knowing she'd forgive me once her hormones stabilized. That night, I met Rachel by the fountain near the student center. The water glowed with blue lights, like the surface of another world, and the campus was quiet in that soft way that made you forget it was real. She was already there, hair tied back, hoodie over her dress, like she didn't care who she was supposed to be. You read the post? she asked, not even turning around. Yeah. I didn't like what they said. I know. So I told them the truth. I stepped closer, unsure if I should touch her. Thank you. You don't need to thank me. But I do. Because that meant something. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw it's something open and raw beneath all her usual poise. Jake, do you think I'm manipulative? What? Do you think I chased you just to win? That I plotted this like some kind of game? I didn't answer right away. I thought about all the times she'd appeared out of nowhere, all the moments she seemed one step ahead, the meteorite, the waiting, the soft goodbyes and sharp glances. I think, I said carefully, you're strategic. But I also think you're sincere. And scared. And braver than anyone I know. Her expression crumpled for half a second before she let out a shaky breath. You're not wrong. About which part? All of it. She stepped into me then, arms sliding around my waist, forehead against my chest. I held her like she was something fragile that had chosen to be strong anyway. Rachel, I whispered, why me? She tilted her head up, her voice barely audible. Because you didn't look at me like everyone else did. Because when you played that arrow on stage, you weren't trying to impress anyone. You were lost in it. And I wanted to be where you were. I kissed her then. No hesitation. No second guessing. Just lips meeting under campus lights with the quiet roar of the fountain behind us. When we pulled away, I whispered, you found me. She smiled. And I'm not letting go. Somewhere far away, my phone buzzed again. Probably Mia. Probably chaos. But none of it mattered anymore. Because in that moment, the only gravity I cared about was the girl in my arms, the one who had rewritten the story I didn't even know I'd been telling. The day after Rachel and I kissed beneath the fountain light, the world didn't explode. The sky didn't erupt into applause. No choir sang. And yet, everything in me had shifted, tilted toward her in a way that felt irreversible. I'd woken up in my dorm with sunlight warming the blanket she made me promise not to kick off again, her note still taped to my lamp, sleep is necessary for planetary alignment. I grinned like an idiot before I even brushed my teeth. It wasn't just the fact that I had a girlfriend. It was the fact that she was Rachel Lynn, the unreachable girl from the School of Arts who once felt like myth, now real enough to tease me about my terrible handwriting and steal fries off my plate without asking. But reality, unlike dreams, always comes with noise. I was halfway through walking to class when a link popped up from one of my roommates. Jake, you need to see this. You're trending again. It was another post, different forum, but the same thread of contempt. Bootlicker scores the campus belle. Must have sold his soul. Poor girl. Then the screenshots. Blurry images from the class dinner. A video clip of me standing to block a drink. The same old commentary, but this time, it came with speculation. People accused me of staging it. Said I was clout chasing. Riding on her name. Even the phrase, reverse simping, made it in somehow. But what stopped my breath was one comment that floated above the rest, he's only with her because his sister told him to. I heard she bribed him. I didn't know whether to laugh or punch something. Before I could react, Rachel called. Did you see it? She asked, her tone already layered with fatigue and fire. I did. You okay? I am. But are you? A pause. Then she said, come to the studio. The art studio was tucked inside an old converted observatory, with wide glass panels and broken floor tiles that made the building feel alive. When I arrived, she was standing near the back, facing a blank canvas, brush in hand but unmoving. I stepped closer. You paint? Sometimes, she said without turning. When my brain won't shut up. What's it saying now? She exhaled. That I'm tired of proving things. That I want to exist without being dissected. That I wish people would stop assuming they know me just because I smile. Her fingers tightened around the brush. I walked closer, careful not to crowd her space. You don't have to prove anything, Rachel. Not to them. Not even to me. Her voice came quieter now. But what if the story is already written? What if everyone's decided who I am? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I stepped behind her, lifted my hand, and gently wrapped my fingers around hers, guiding the brush to the canvas. Then we write a new one. The paint struck white like a declaration. She didn't say anything, but her shoulders relaxed slightly. We stood like that, sharing silence, letting the moment stretch into something sacred. Later that afternoon, she walked me back toward the dorm. Our hands brushed but didn't hold too many eyes, too much noise. The sky was clouded, the wind teasing strands of her hair loose. "Jake," she said suddenly, "do you think I'm difficult?" I blinked. "What?" "I overheard someone yesterday. They said I'm high maintenance, that I like attention too much. And it bothered me. Which makes me feel like maybe they're right." I stopped walking. She turned, her eyes unreadable. "Rachel," I said carefully, "you're complex. Not difficult. You care deeply, you think too much, you guard yourself with this effortless mask, but none of that is wrong." Her eyes shimmered, like rain waiting for release. "I just want to be seen. Not watched. Seen. I see you," I said. "And I like what I see. Even the messy parts. Especially the messy parts." That night, we didn't text much. But I felt her presence in the quiet, in the way she lingered in the spaces between my thoughts. The next morning, Mia unblocked herself and called me at 6:42 a.m. Like she'd been sitting on a volcano all night. "Jake Bennett, what is this rumor about you getting paid to date Rachel?" I groaned. "It's nothing. Just forum trash." "Did you get paid?" I hesitated. "Mia, you did," she shrieked. "You actually took money to flirt with her. It was before anything happened. Before I knew her. Oh my God. Do you love her?" I swallowed. "Yes." Silence. "Jake," her voice dropped. "You have to tell her." "I know." I hung up and stared at the ceiling. That was the thing about falling in love through a lie, you start to wonder which part of you was real. That afternoon, I texted Rachel. "Meet me at the lake after your class." "Sure." "Something wrong?" "Just something I should have said earlier." The lake shimmered under the fading orange of twilight. Leaves skated across the water's surface, drifting like careless thoughts. When she arrived, she wore a pale gray coat, her cheeks slightly flushed from the cold, hands buried in her sleeves. "Hey," she said, soft and warm. I nodded, heart thudding. "Rachel, there's something I have to confess." Her smile faltered, just a little. "Okay." The day we started talking again, it wasn't entirely a coincidence. Mia asked me to distract you. She said you were ruining her chances with Zach. She offered me something I wanted. Rachel didn't speak. She just stared. At first, I didn't think it mattered. I didn't even expect you to respond. But then you did. And every day after that, it stopped being a task. It became real. You became real. And I started falling. Hard. I didn't mean to lie. I just didn't know how to tell you when it all changed. The silence stretched like a taut wire between us. Rachel looked down, then out at the water. "The meteorite," she said quietly. "You wanted that?" I nodded. It was stupid. But yes. "I knew," she said. My breath caught. "You did?" "Mia talks a lot. I figured it out. But I gave it to you anyway. Because I needed to know if you'd stay after getting what you wanted." I stepped forward. "And I did." "Yes," she whispered. "You did. I'm sorry." "I know." She turned to face me fully now, eyes no longer cold but clear. Jake, I never wanted perfect. I wanted honest. And that's what this is now. I reached for her hand. She let me. And in that quiet moment, forgiveness tasted like autumn air. Fresh. Bittersweet. Real. The night we sealed our truth by the lake, Rachel and I didn't say much on the walk back. But there was a new rhythm to the silence between us, uncluttered, honest, quiet like the first snowfall before it touches the ground. I held her hand all the way, not because I had something to prove, but because it was the most natural thing in the world. She didn't flinch. Didn't ask questions. Her fingers just curled softly around mine, like a promise. The next morning, a new post appeared on the school forum, but this time, it wasn't about scandal. It was a photo. Candid. Slightly off-center. Rachel and I sitting beneath a maple tree near the science building. She was leaning into my shoulder, book half open on her lap. I was looking at her, not the page. The caption read, "Not every story needs fixing. Sometimes it just needed to be seen." For once, the comments weren't cruel. Some were surprised. Some joked. But the overwhelming majority said nothing at all. They just liked it. And moved on. That was the moment I knew the tide had turned, not just for us, but for the way people saw her. Saw me. Us. But happy endings don't arrive in clean lines. They arrive tangled, just like people. Mia showed up unannounced outside my dorm that afternoon, sunglasses on, holding a shopping bag like it was a peace offering. "I'm not here to throw hands," she muttered, shoving the bag into my chest. "Just returning your hoodie. And also, I'm not sorry for screaming. But I'm sorry for I don't know. Weaponizing you. You bribed me." Semantics. I smirked. "Are you mad I fell for her?" "Honestly? I'm mad you fell for her before I realized she wasn't actually the villain in my delusional love triangle. Took me a hot minute to realize maybe I wasn't the main character after all. You're always the main character in your head." "Shut up." She paused. "So are you happy?" "Yeah," I said. "I am." She looked like she might cry. But instead, she flicked my forehead and said, "Good. Just don't break her heart, Jake. Or I swear I'll break your legs." And that was that. Peace, in the way only siblings can define it. Later that week, Rachel texted me to meet her at the observatory tower behind the arts building, the same one where we painted together in silence. When I arrived, she was standing by the giant telescope, staring through the glass dome at a sky awash in stars. "I always loved this place," she said, not turning around. "I used to sneak up here and make wishes when no one was around." "On stars?" "No," she smiled, "on possibilities." I stepped beside her. "What are you wishing for now?" "Nothing," she said. "I already have it." I didn't speak. Just reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You scared me," she whispered. "That day by the lake. I thought I was going to lose everything I worked so hard to build between us. You never had to build anything. I was walking toward you the whole time." She turned, eyes glistening under the soft blue of the moonlight filtering through the dome. "Then why didn't you say something sooner?" "Because I didn't believe someone like you could look twice at someone like me." "Someone like me?" she echoed. "Jake, do you know what I saw when I first looked at you? A nerdy guy with a weird musical instrument?" "No," she laughed softly. "I saw someone who wasn't trying to be seen. Someone who existed so fully in his own world that I wanted to knock on the door and ask if I could come in." "You don't knock," I said. "You already live there." She stepped forward. "Then let me stay." I kissed her again, under the turning sky. It wasn't urgent or wild, it was slow, reverent, like a ceremony we'd been writing one heartbeat at a time. Months later, when we were officially known across campus as that disgustingly cute couple, people still asked how it started. I never told them about the deal. Or the meteorite. Or the breakfast bribes. I just said, I fell for the girl who rewrote my story better than I ever could. And if they pushed for more, I'd shrug and add, she liked stars. I liked her. But late at night, when Rachel was curled against me, and the weight of the day was gone, she'd sometimes whisper, do you still think I'm complicated? I'd smile, trace the line of her jaw, and say, yes. But you're my kind of chaos. And she'd murmur, good. Because I'm never going back to pretending. And I'd reply, don't. The mask never fit you anyway. And in that soft, unguarded space between truth and sleep, we'd both know something deeper than love had happened. Something like gravity. Something that didn't pull us down but pulled us home.